Imagine a piece of legislation so big it reshapes U.S. military strategy, challenges presidential priorities, and puts America's role on the world stage under a microscope, all at once. That's exactly what just happened in Washington. In this video we're breaking down the massive $901 billion U.S. defense bill that just cleared Congress, including what it means for Ukraine, U.S. soldiers, NATO, and yes, President Trump's foreign policy. If you want to understand the future of American defense and global power, stick with me. Today, the U.S. Senate overwhelmingly approved the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, historic $901 billion blueprint for America's defense policy and military power. With a 77-20 vote, lawmakers sent this massive package straight to President Donald Trump's desk, where he's expected to sign it into law. Let's unpack what's inside this monumental bill. First, this isn't just about tanks and jets, this is about U.S. global strategy. The NDAA includes a 4% pay raise for service members, one of the largest in recent memory, and boosts benefits like childcare and housing support for military families. It also includes certain social policy provisions, some controversial, like barring transgender women from women's sports at military academies and keeping in place Pentagon restrictions on diversity programs. Reuters. But the real-world impact goes far beyond domestic Pentagon policy. This bill dramatically reinforces U.S. defense commitments abroad, particularly in Europe and Asia, by preventing massive troop pullbacks that were being discussed by the Trump administration. In fact, the legislation says the Pentagon can't reduce U.S. troops in Europe below 76,000, and not without consulting NATO allies and proving it's in America's national security interest. In South Korea, similar restrictions ensure at least 28,500 American troops remain stationed there. Why does this matter? Because it signals Congress isn't willing to quickly abandon old alliances, even if the White House wants to recast America's military footprint. Now let's talk about Ukraine, a key part of this story. Despite some pushback from the Trump administration, the NDAA allocates $800 million in military aid to Ukraine, $400 million each year for the next 2 years, even as Russia's invasion grinds on. This isn't symbolic. It's a full-throttle reaffirmation from U.S. lawmakers that America will continue arming Ukraine, strengthening Ukraine's capacity to defend itself and discouraging further aggression. And it reflects deep bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats alike, for Ukraine's fight. The bill also includes support for Baltic defense initiatives and investments in defense cooperation with allies in Asia such as Taiwan and the Philippines, indicating that U.S. lawmakers are directing America's military focus toward confronting both Russia and China on multiple fronts. But that's not all. Members of Congress insisted on greater transparency from the Pentagon, including a controversial push for detailed release of video and information surrounding U.S. strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats near Venezuela. Lawmakers are pressing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for unedited footage, and have even built in consequences if compliance isn't met. Another major item, the bill repeals the 1991 and 2003 authorizations for use of military force related to Iraq, reinforcing Congress's constitutional authority over war decisions. Despite all of this, the NDAA is not without controversy. Some lawmakers expressed disappointment that key safety provisions, like improved military helicopter tracking after a deadly crash near a U.S. airport, didn't make it into the final package. Still, this is the 65th straight year Congress passed a defense authorization bill, proving that national security continues to be one of the rare bipartisan pillars in Washington. So what's the bottom line? This $901 billion defense bill isn't just about dollars, it's about priorities. It's about how the U.S. chooses to support allies, manage global threats, and balance executive power with legislative oversight. It bolsters support for Ukraine, pushes back against abrupt troop withdrawals, and cements America's role as a global military leader. And it does all of this while navigating intense political pressure from both sides of the aisle. If you want to stay informed about how this affects U.S. foreign policy, veterans, and global stability, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell.